All right, you guys. Excuse me. Today is Wednesday, the 10th. You have to excuse me because we are not going to have a Zoom today. I have a family member that's in the hospital, so I'm in the hospital right now. So, yeah. But I wanted to do a voice memo with you, for you guys, so that way, there's still some communication there. And of course, if you have any questions, remind. Some of y'all are still emailing me, and of course, it's taking me a while to respond to you because I'm not seeing it. So please message me on Remind. Join Remind. We still have 2 weeks left of school. Get on Remind, join it, and that is how you can communicate with me because these emails are taking way too long. All right. All right. So we are now in Wednesday. Yesterday, you should have started Kindred, and you should have read The Fall and the Fight. So a couple things. Kindred is a graphic novel, which you should know at this point. It is written by Octavia Butler. Definitely she's an African American author. She is known for writing science fiction books, but excuse me, y'all. Known for writing science fiction books, but Kindred is it is a science fiction book because it goes back and forth within the future, but her context, of course, is dealing with issues of slavery, African American treatment, so on and so forth. So we have our two characters. I'm trying to pull up my notes. We have our two characters. You have Dana, which is the our main character, our protagonist. She's African American, and I want to say that she is either married or maybe dating. I think his name is Andrew. He's a white male. So we learn pretty quickly that Dana has these visions where she's in regular time 1 minute, and then all of a sudden she might pass out and she goes back in time. So our story is set in California. Oh, y'all, excuse me. Our story is set in California, and I think that the year is 1976. So in the fall, she falls. She's in her office, I want to say. She falls. She goes back in time. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the river. Excuse me. So in the river, she goes back in time. She saves this white boy from drowning. His mom, comes at her, charging her up or whatever. And the next thing we know, Dana has a gun in her face. So immediately when we think about it and we infer, we should be like, oh, okay, it's clearly something going on with the race or whatever. Because, let's be honest. If it was a black person or a person of color, back then, they would have, been killed or something of that nature. But one thing that we need to keep in mind is the age. The little boy's name is Rufus, so he's become a part of Dana's life. We need to keep in mind the age. So in the river, Rufus is very young. So then, excuse me, y'all, I'm so sorry. When we get to the fire, Rufus, at this point, like, Dana's scared. She doesn't want to go back in time or whatever. I think that she's in the tub when she does this, or she's eating, and she goes back in time. So at this point, she's back with Rufus. Rufus is trying to burn the house down or something like that. Dana, kind of saves him, and her and Rufus have this discussion. She notices that Rufus has gotten older, and through their discussion, let me backtrack. She realizes that she's in North Carolina, I want to say, and during slave time, like during slavery. So she's a black woman talking to this white boy in this house that she realizes is a slave plantation during slavery. So she's not there. She has no papers to verify that she's free. So of course we know that back in those times, if slaves didn't have a paper, whether they were free or not, if you did not have that paper on you, you were liable to, of course, be captured, either sold or forced to work on a plantation. And a lot of times, even with the paper on them, a lot of slave owners didn't believe them. Like, they didn't believe that they were actually free slaves. So she was definitely risking her life. And like Rufus had told her, if my dad hears you, you're going to get in trouble. So she finds out at this point, they keep talking about a character named Alice. So she realizes, or she starts thinking that, because remember, she's in the past. So she starts thinking that, Rufus or Alice is somebody in her family. Oh, excuse me. So she leaves Rufus's house to go find Alice. And then, of course, we get to the part of the story where you have an African-American couple who was out, whatever. the slave owners were out looking for them, had caught them, and then they beat the black slave owner. I'm sorry, the black man. And then one of the slave owners tried to come back to rape the black woman, which tends to happen, which used to happen a lot back in those times, which is kind of, where we now have like mixed or whatever, like mixed children, was through like generations of that. Slave owners would go in and rape their black slave mistresses or the women who used to be married and things of that nature. And a lot of times, of course, there were, not saying that there weren't any condoms back then, I don't know, but a lot of times these women ended up pregnant. So they were pregnant by their slave owners. So Dana sees this. She helps the black woman once the white people leave. And so she starts asking her, like, who are you? Oh, y'all, I'm so sorry. Y'all haven't had no sleep. She starts asking her, like, who are you? And she's like, well, I'm Alice. I'm not gonna snitch on you. So then they go in the house. And then she comes back too and realizes that at this point, Dana has accepted the fact that she's going to keep going back and forth until this other time. So now her and her boyfriend or husband, Andrew, are trying to prepare her or protect her with weapons to figure out what to do. So that's where we're at now. So today, you guys will be reading The Storm, The Rope, and the Epilogue. Now, content-wise, there's a lot of work here. But remember, you guys can space out your work. So when you guys do The Storm, when you guys do The Storm, there's like short passages or like short issues going on in The Storm. So you're going to pick 3 of them and you're going to summarize them. Then you're going to pick, out of whichever section that you pick out of your passages, you're going to pick one and do one of the following of the steps. That's for The Storm. For The Rope, you have 11 questions to answer, like thought questions. You can write them down on a sheet of paper. You can type them up, whatever you want to do. So that's for The Rope and the Epilogue together. So I just joined those 2 together. And then, of course, you have an exit ticket. And then on Thursday, you have because Thursday you should have finished the book at that point. So Thursday is a lighter day work-wise. So if you want to space out your work from today and work on half of it tomorrow, by all means. So on Thursday, you have a pretty simple assignment. It's just like a short story about your family history. So just keep that in mind. Last minute updates again. For whatever reason, y'all are not doing your attendance warm-ups, but you're turning in other assignments, or you're doing your attendance warm-up the next day. That's not how that works. Again, attendance has to be done the day that it is assigned. So I don't care if you decide not to do any other assignment, but if you want to be marked present, do the attendance that same day. Because what's happening is, again, y'all are waiting till 9 o'clock. I guess y'all busy all day. I don't know. Y'all are waiting until 9 o'clock to do attendance. Attendance has been submitted. You are absent for that day. So attendance has to be done by 3 p.m. All right. Secondly, please make sure when you're on Schoology, you're reading the updates. Schoology works like Facebook. So you know how Facebook works. Please make sure you're reading the updates. Several of y'all are asking me the same question that I've already answered in the updates. So please do that. Remember, your deadlines are Monday and Wednesday at noon. Again, however, you can turn everything in on Sunday. Points will be taken off, but the last day you can turn anything in is Sunday at 11:59. If y'all have noticed, when you're on Schoology, the week 1 folder is now gone. So Sunday night, the week 2, all the folders will disappear, and then the new folder for that week will appear on Monday. All right. So hopefully this answers any questions. Grades are due tomorrow, the 11th. I will be working on grades today, but for the most part, I'm fairly caught up. There are some grades in the grade book I want to say. Remember, your article of the days are 25 points each per day. So if you end up with a 50, that means you've only done 2, so on and so forth. So keep that in mind. If y'all have any other questions, please email me, hit me up on Remind, hit me up on Schoology. I'm sorry about there not being a Zoom today. I'm so sorry. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Please let me know. Don't say, well, we didn't have a Zoom, so I didn't know. That's not going to be acceptable. All right. So hopefully you guys have a great Wednesday, a great Thursday, a great rest of your week. I am here.